Hey everyone, and welcome back to The Explainer. Okay, so let's just dive right into this, because today we are going on a really fascinating journey. We're actually going to start on a gritty, industrial factory floor, looking at some pretty heavy machinery. But by the end of our time together today, we're going to use what we learned there to completely reevaluate human psychology, our daily routines, and honestly, our mental health. It's a real game changer. We're looking at a concept that is as physically undeniable as it is emotionally profound: the destructive power of small load energy. So, I want you to mentally transport yourself for a second to the Zhangjiakou Exploration Machinery Factory. Picture a group of students, and they're observing these massive testing machines. Now, these machines aren't building things. They're actively trying to destroy them. They're testing the tensile strength, the compressive strength, and the bending limits of various metals. They take this thick, heavy iron rod, lock it tightly into place, and test exactly how much force it can take before it violently snaps. But here's the catch. They aren't just looking at massive crushing blows. They're testing something much quieter and honestly, much more insidious. It's called small load energy. You see, the testing machines at the factory prove a physical absolute. Small load energy means that no matter how incredibly tough a metal is, if it's subjected to continuous, repeated, minor impacts, it will eventually fracture and break. It is an undeniable physical premise. It doesn't always take a massive, catastrophic amount of force to break a solid iron rod. A relentless, tiny, seemingly insignificant impact, just ticking away over and over again, will inevitably snap it right in two. Right, so the crucial point here is the contrast between a massive anvil dropping and a tiny water drop. Look, we spend so much of our lives fearing the one-time heavy blow, a major traumatic event, a massive failure, a sudden disaster. And yeah, for sure, a one-time heavy blow can absolutely destroy a person and leave them unable to recover. But the true revelation of the source text we're exploring today is that these massive events are not the only things we need to be watching out for. It's the continuous small impacts, the totally unnoticeable, stealthy daily stressors that are often the real culprits in ruining a person's life. There is this ancient proverb that perfectly encapsulates the factory physics we just talked about. A rope saws through wood and water drops pierce stone. Think about that. Soft rope cuts hard wood. Soft water hollows out solid rock. It's like this grand metaphor of accumulation, microscopic, completely insignificant forces. When they're applied consistently over time to an object, to a principle, or even to a person, well, they'll eventually lead to a massive qualitative change. And this brilliantly illustrates how this plays out in our immediate physical reality. Just think about these everyday examples for a second. A tiny grain of sand gets into your shoe, and suddenly your entire forward momentum just stops. A microscopic speck of dust flies into your eye, and you're completely blinded. You literally can't even open it. A single point of physical pain somewhere in your body can, in an absolute instant, erode your entire sense of confidence for the whole day. It's the accumulating weight of these seemingly insignificant physical disruptions that really gets us. Let's actually expand this analogy even further, out into our society and our environment. A beautiful, pure river is destroyed because one factory discharges a little sewage here and another dumps a little waste there. It's an anthill collapsing a giant dike. It's a tiny pinhole in a gas pipe causing a catastrophic disaster. Or a family thief who steals just a tiny amount daily until the entire house is completely empty. Or think about being in a group where one rumor spreader, who seems totally harmless at first, turns harmony into absolute conflict. It's the classic one rotten apple spoiling the entire barrel. Small, negative inputs compounding into total systemic collapse. Which brings us to Section 1, the danger within, when people become small load energy. We've talked about iron rods and polluted rivers, right? Now, we're going to pivot to the emotional core of this explainer and connect the physical breaking point of metal directly to the human psyche. This is exactly where small load energy becomes dangerous in our everyday lives. I want you to imagine a person with a beautifully healthy, totally positive mindset. Now subject them to constant criticism from one person. Add in some relentless gossip from another. Throw in endless fault-finding, someone picking at them vertically and horizontally all day long, and top the whole shebang off with persistent nagging. What happens? Well, over time, just like that iron rod taking tiny impacts in the factory, this positive person slowly loses their optimism. They lose their spark, and tragically, they begin to self-doubt and self-deny. That nagging and nitpicking literally becomes a relentless hammer. And honestly, here's the ultimate heartbreaking cost of all this. Life is rarely easy, we all know that. But what usually breaks a person isn't external difficulties or harsh objective conditions. It is the constant impact of these small load forces from within their own circle. When someone completely gives up on their life or their ambitions, it is very, very rarely about one single devastatingly bad day. It's the continuous internal and external chipping away. It is those continuous small load impacts that eventually lead to self-destruction. So, what does this all mean? How do we actually protect ourselves? Let's turn to Section 2, the morning rule. Ancient wisdom for daily life. We're going to look at how we stop this from happening in our own lives and our own homes with some highly practical advice. There's this quote from the Sutra of Land Celestial Beings, and it's incredibly revealing. Avoid anger at dawn. It harms the lungs and damages the liver. The text explains that if you frequently lose your temper or get upset first thing in the morning, it actually physically manifests in your body. Amazingly, it leads to shortness of breath and poor liver function. And what does that result in? A day of total mental exhaustion. You start your day with zero energy, and you've essentially lost the day before it's even fully begun, all because of an early dose of small load energy. The cool thing is, we can turn that ancient quote into a highly actionable 3-step morning routine to protect your household or your workplace. Step 1. Absolutely avoid criticizing or nitpicking each other in the morning. Just don't do it. Step 2. Replace that with active encouragement. Uplift your family members, pump up your colleagues, give them energy, don't drain it. Step 3. If you have a grievance, if you're really dissatisfied about something, bottle it up just for a few hours. Seriously, save it for the afternoon or the evening. Do not let those hurtful words fly at dawn, because long-term exposure to morning criticism ruins health, businesses, and relationships. Now, to survive adversity without losing your confidence, you have to actively maintain this overarching mindset. You absolutely must keep a positive, optimistic, and determined spirit. As the old sayings go, we'll cross that bridge when we come to it, and heaven never seals all the exits. There is always a way forward. But here's the thing. You can't see those exits, and you can't cross those bridges if your courage is constantly being eroded by pessimistic nagging. If you want to protect your iron rod, you literally have to stop the hammer. So let's look at Section 3, time to say goodbye, cutting off the source. The author's advice here is absolutely resolute, and I love it. You must say goodbye to the chronic critics. Say goodbye to the people who do absolutely nothing but nitpick. Say goodbye to the relentless pessimists who constantly spread negative views. You have to actively guard against them. Why? Because long-term exposure to these people will destroy your health and your future. They are the human equivalent of that factory machine. They might seem insignificant in the moment, just a passing negative comment here or a nagging complaint there, but make no mistake. They are the small load energy that will eventually break you. So I want to leave you with this final provocative thought. Take a hard look at your own life right now. What small load energy is testing your limits today? Is it a bad habit? Is it a daily annoyance? Or more importantly, is it a person? Who is constantly chipping away at your optimism? And who do you need to firmly say goodbye to before your iron rod snaps? Take control of your environment, protect your mornings, and guard your mindset. Thank you so much for joining me for this explainer, and I will catch you next time.